Some of the most fascinating stories in history are not about soldiers or kings, but about clever individuals who use their wits to challenge the system. This is a story of art, pride, and revenge. A crime that would fool the world's greatest experts and even the Nazi high command. It's the tale of a brilliant artist who, after being rejected by the establishment, decided to commit the perfect crime. This is the incredible true story of Han van Meegeren, the man who painted his own masterpieces and signed them with another man's name. He was a skilled artist, but his style was traditional, reminiscent of the Dutch Golden Age. Han van Meegeren was a talented Dutch painter in the early 20th century. Art critics of the time dismissed his work. They called him a second-rate imitator, a man stuck in the past, while the world of art moved on to modernism. Van Meegeren was filled with a bitter resentment. He felt his genius was unrecognized. So, he devised a plan for the ultimate artistic revenge. He would prove them wrong by showing them they were fools who could unrecognize a true masterwork. Even if they saw one, the art world was hungry for a new, undiscovered version. He would not try to prove them wrong with his own art. Van Meegeren knew he had to replicate this effect perfectly. His greatest challenge was creating the authentic cracks of aged paint. He decided to forge a painting by the artist he admired most, the legendary 17th-century Dutch master, Johannes Vermeer. Vermeer was the perfect choice. Very few of his paintings were known to exist, and his life was shrouded in mystery. The most renowned art expert in the Netherlands, Dr. Abraham Bredius, examined it, but forging a 300-year-old painting is nearly impossible. Old paint cracks in a very specific way. He spent years experimenting. He bought cheap 17th-century canvases and scraped off the old paint. He mixed his own pigments using ancient formulas. He had fooled them all. The painting was sold for a massive sum, making him secretly rich. He had proven the critics were frauds. He continued to produce more lost masterpieces by Dutch artists, selling them to wealthy collectors. This new, dark era presented Van Meegeren with new, dangerous opportunities. He had a particular love for the old Dutch masters. He even made his own brushes from badger hair, just as Vermeer would have done. He discovered a brilliant solution. He mixed his pigments with a type of plastic, bakelite, and then baked the finished painting in an oven. As the painting cooled, the bakelite would harden and create the perfect, convincing network of aged cracks. His technique was flawless. Through an agent, he offered a newly discovered Vermeer for sale, titled The Woman Taken in Adultery. But he was not arrested for forgery. No one yet knew the paintings were fake. He was arrested for a much more serious crime. The charge was that he had sold a priceless Dutch cultural treasure to the Nazis. The penalty for this crime was death. Now, he was ready. He painted his masterpiece, a religious scene called the Supper at Emmaus, and signed it with Vermeer's name. He told the shocked authorities, "The painting I sold to that fat Nazi Gring was not a He knew the only way to prove he was a traitor was to confess that he was a criminal. In exchange for the Vermeer, he gave Van Meegeren 137 looted Dutch paintings and a huge sum of cash. He presented the painting to the art world in 1937. It was a sensation. It seemed like a desperate lie from a traitor trying to save his own neck. The world's press gathered to watch the incredible spectacle. Dr. Bredius was moved to tears. He declared it not only a genuine Vermeer, but the greatest masterpiece Vermeer had ever painted. The art world was ecstatic. He became a national folk hero, a trickster who had cleverly fooled the hated Nazis. The war ended in and the Allies began to recover stolen art. He told the police, "Give me a canvas and paints, and I will prove to you that I am the master forger." They traced a sale back through a series of agents to one man, Han van Meegeren. Just a month after his conviction, Han van Meegeren died of a heart attack. A celebrated and infamous man. Is it the painting itself, or the signature in the corner? Van Meegeren's revenge was complete. He was a master craftsman who used his talent not for fame, but for a secret, bitter revenge. And a reminder that even in the darkest of times, history can have a strange and ironic sense of humor. They soon discovered the secret ingredient, the plastic bakelite, that was not invented until the 20th century. He could have stopped there, but the money and the thrill were too intoxicating. Then, World War II began. In 1940, the Nazis occupied the Netherlands. High-ranking Nazi leaders were voracious art collectors. The most notorious among them was Hermann Gring, the commander of the Luftwaffe in Hitler's Gring was looting art from all over occupied Europe to fill his personal collection. Van Meegeren saw a chance to make the sale of a lifetime. Gring desperately wanted the painting. He acquired it from Van Meegeren in a trade. Han van Meegeren, the forger, had successfully swindled one of the most powerful and evil men in the world. An Allied art crimes officer discovered the Vermeer in Gring's hidden collection. In May of 1945, Van Meegeren was arrested. He was charged with treason and collaboration with the enemy. Van Meegeren was thrown in prison, facing execution. He was trapped. In a stunning courtroom twist, he made his confession. He proudly declared, "I painted it myself." At first, no one believed him. The experts, including Dr. Breedy, had all declared the paintings to be genuine masterpieces. How could a second-rate artist have created them? Van Meegeren had to prove it. Under police guard, in a rented studio, he began to paint one last Vermeer. As he painted, a team of scientists began to analyze his other works. The evidence was undeniable. The great masterpieces were all fakes. Han van Meegeren was telling the truth. He was a brilliant forger. The mood of the country changed overnight. Van Meegeren was no longer seen as a traitor. The Dutch people were delighted that Herman Gring had traded 137 real paintings for a worthless fake created by a Dutch artist. It was seen as a patriotic act of defiance. His trial for treason was dropped. Instead, he was put on trial for the lesser crime of forgery. The trial was a media circus. It was a celebrity. He was found guilty of forgery and sentenced to a minimal 1 year in prison. His life's revenge was now complete, but he would never serve his sentence. His story is a fascinating tale about the nature of art, truth, and deception. It asks a powerful question. What makes art valuable? Van Meegeren proved that the line between genius and fraud can be incredibly thin. His story is a testament to one man's incredible audacity. He was a con man who became a hero, a traitor who became a patriot, and a forger whose greatest creation was the story of his own life.